It's amazing. What I really appreciate, it's very user-friendly. And as a Mac user, I very much appreciate that. Everything has to be simple.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Perfectly. Okay, we can start. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Ready? Okay. Hi, I'm Pascal from Hughes and Kettner. Welcome to our studio. Today we have a very special guest. It's Kee Marcello, former guitarist of Europe and Easy Action. And Kee is a representative of hard rock, heavy metal and glam rock. And he is often called the king of melody, what he really is. And today we are gonna find out a bit more about his life, about his music and future plans, that and much more. And in normal times he would sit right next to me, but everything is a little bit different right now, so we just put him here on the screen. Kee, it's so good to have you here.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. First of all, first question, how are you?
I'm doing great, actually. I mean, I'm working a lot, writing a lot of new songs, so which means self-isolation, which is good in these times, isn't it?
Self-isolation, all alone.
Yeah, I don't meet anybody. You know, I basically beat my guitars in my studio. That's it.
And where are you right now?
Right now, I'm in Gothenburg, or right outside Gothenburg, by the coast where I live in my house. And I got a line studio here where I do background vocals and keyboards and guitars and all that kind of stuff. You know, I have a big studio as well, but I prefer to do the more cozy stuff at home, especially in these times.
And how is the weather?
The weather sucks. It's Sweden. So the Sweden on the west coast is a bit different, you know, during the falls, because it's rainy and windy all the time. It's very British in a way, but we're hoping for snow for Christmas. Obviously, that would be great.
You are from Sweden, but Marcello sounds very Italian. So do you have Italian roots?
Oh, bro, I'm as Italian as IKEA, man. No, not at all. The thing is, what happened was, when I started off in the business in the early 80s, first of all, how I got Kee, because my birth name is Kjell, K-J-E-L-L. And as you probably understand, not an American or any person outside Sweden will be able to pronounce that. Kjell, K-J-E-L-L. It's just in Sweden that KJ turns into a sh sound. So I was in a band called Kee and the Kick, and there was a misunderstanding where people thought that I was Kee, and they started calling me Kee. So Kee was along for years before I started to play with the band Noise. But then when we started Easy Action and had a new EP, our first EP to be released, then the bass player said, you need a last name. Because you can't say, on the guitar, Kee who? You gotta have a last name. So I thought about it, and I'm a bit of a bookworm, and I was reading a lot of Mario Puzo novels back then, and the guy who wrote The Godfather. And so I did a not so mature choice to use Marcello, which is taken from Carlos Marcello. He was a big mafia boss in New Orleans, born in Sicily, you know. So I took the name of a Sicily gangster, basically. It's only later that I discovered that he was a real monster. And actually, a lot of people thought that he was behind the murder of JFK. It's a horrible name, yeah. There's actually things on the web about Carlos Marcello. But anyway, it was just a name to me. So I think a lot of people back then in Sweden, since Sweden weren't taken seriously by English and American labels, a lot of Swedish people took stage names. For instance, Joey Tempest is that's not his birth name. Maybe you guessed already.
Okay. I saw on your Facebook profile that you did some concerts under the name, I have to look, Unplugged but Wired Concerts. What is the concept behind that?
The concept, well, first of all, the title, it's exactly what it sounds like, Unplugged, but wired. So I'm doing one set of acoustic. It's basically me and acoustic guitar and singing a variety of the songs that really work well in an unplugged setting, you know. So the first set of the show is just acoustic guitar and me singing, you know, and then jumping over to Act 2, I put the electric guitar on and I do an electric set, and then I play some of the rocker hits from throughout my career. It's very appreciated. As you might understand, these were Corona adapted gigs, so the maximum amount was 50 people in the audience. So these were really exclusive gigs, and it felt like almost like stepping into somebody's living room and started to play music for them. It was really cool and very appreciated. I'll do it again. I think that was a lot of fun. Of course, the tickets has to be more expensive when there are so few, but then again, I mean, you still have to pay for all the people working around the stage, even though it's a one-man show. But I have my Petri, my sidekick, who is helping me with all the technical stuff, and of course the crew, sounds and lights. But on stage, it's just me, and that's the first time I ever did that. Very interesting. And I use this little buddy, of course.
I know that one.
It's like made for it.
Are you planning to do more concerts like these?
Definitely. I thought it was a lot of fun. I mean, if fingers crossed, when we get the vaccine, maybe we can do bigger things out of it. I already had offers in Sweden, at least, to do, you know, like 1,000-seaters with this concept. It's just it's still very cozy, you know. We can be 1,000 people in the audience, but you still have that cozy feeling, you know. Maybe I even bring a sofa on stage to keep that living room thing going, you know, Turkish mats and whatnot.
Talking about live shows, a funny story. I talked to a friend of mine yesterday and I told him that we would do this interview today. And it turned out he saw you in '89 here in Saarbrücken on the Out of This World tour playing. And he will always remember this concert because something happened there. Something must have pressed the wrong button on your amp right at the beginning of the song Ready or Not. And you had to play the whole intro in clean sound, which was almost an impossible thing to do right. And you did it perfectly. And that still impresses him today. So is there any concert you played you will always remember in a funny way?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's very funny you mentioned that because I actually remember it. And the thing was, when I was doing that intro to the solo, which is very fast, it triplets very fast, I was running down some stairs as well. You know, the stage set where stairs on the sides of the drums. So running down those stairs while doing that. So I wasn't really used to having a lot of guitar in my monitors because I was not near my wedges. So I was probably used to playing that without hearing myself. So I didn't notice until afterwards when the sound engineer told me, "Oh, I see you turned to playing banjo." Because it sounded like banjo with a clean sound, you know. But yeah, I'm glad I was impressed. Oh yeah, there's a lot of strange stuff happening. I mean, Pascal, thinking of where you are right now geographically, what comes to mind is a gig we almost did in Luxembourg with Europe in 1987, I guess it was. And we were at the stadium in Luxembourg sound checking, and some 25,000 crazy fans were waiting outside already, just ready to rock. You know, they wanted to see rock music, which wasn't that common back then in Luxembourg. And during the sound check, we get a very worrying message from the management that tells us that the mayor don't want us to play. He doesn't want us to play the show. And we were like, what?
He didn't like rock music.
He didn't like hard rock music. And I mean, we've been through a lot of weird stuff. Like, for instance, when we played in Indonesia, we had to sit in front of almost like a jury that asked us, what are your lyrics about? Because they had some really bad experiences with Deep Purple back in the 70s when they were in Indonesia. And they had a party which ended up with a guy falling down an elevator shaft, dying. Actually, it ended up with one party. The party ended up with one guy dying, and that's a hell of a party. No, horrible. But anyway, we know that different nations respond differently to rock music. Obviously, I mean, it's not like we were Cannibal Corpse. You know, we were a very kind sort of hard rock band if you compare to a lot of the heavier ones. But still, he didn't like it. And it all ended in a big riot because the fans weren't going to be persuaded to go back home again. And the whole glass entrance actually broke. And they had not nearly enough police around to I don't think they expected 25,000 people to show up, first of all. There were like 20, 30 cops for 25,000 people. They were so outnumbered. And it all stopped with us backing up the tour bus, just trying to escape because people were really angry and with all right. I mean, they paid their ticket to see a rock concert, and now the mayor just canceled it. Really weird.
A lot of artists currently can't play live concerts. How does the pandemic impact your life as a musician?
Oh, profoundly. I mean, it's such a big difference. I had my whole 2020 staked out with tours and gigs, and I had two solo tours, one in the spring and one in the fall, both in the EU. It all got cancelled. I had a lot of. I have a show called Rock the Night, which is basically Kee Marcello band with guest singers, and we had a lot of those gigs as well on a couple of cruises. All that got cancelled, you know. So I haven't been doing like a real gig since the 6th of March. Yeah, the 6th of March. That's the last time I did a real gig in front of a rock audience. And after that was when the corona came. And since then, I've been locked up in the studio. Which, because I've been doing a lot of writing. I wrote this whole project called Out of This World with the singer Tommy Hart. And I wrote 5 or 6 songs for Easy Action, my old band. And I also have half a new soul album in the pipeline, you know, more than half it. So it's, but I think in the beginning, it was in pure frustration. I just went into the studio and started writing like a maniac because I needed to do something. And it was really inspiring because I got into the flow, you know how things are. If you're on a tour, it takes a couple of days before you get into the flow of touring. It's the same thing with songwriting. When you get into it, it's bound to be a lot of songs happening while you're at it. And now nothing has been disturbing me. So I've been doing a lot of music.
Talking about these positive aspects on the whole thing, if you want to see something positive, it's it's the fact that more and more people are learning learning how to play instruments again now in these times. What would you say to people who are just entering the world of guitar playing?
First of all, I would say, welcome. You've chosen the most amazing instrument you can pick. It's very rewarding and it's going to bring you a lot of joy. For me personally, it's been a love affair since 1973. And it's a never-ending, ongoing love affair with this instrument. And it's so versatile and you can play so many different styles with it. I'm also generally happy about the fact that people start to play instruments, because I know some music teachers that tells me that it's very alarming that the rate of pupils that wants to study certain instruments are very decreasing, especially brass and bass guitar and stuff like that. So I'm really happy that people are picking up instruments again, because maybe that's the best thing about this pandemic. If you can say what's the best thing about the pandemic, then it's this.
Well, you're a representative of the classic rock arena tube sound. But times have changed. The trend is towards more compact amps with more functionality. What do you play? What equipment do you use and why?
Well, what I've been doing the bigger part of this year is those unplugged but wire gigs, and I use this little baby using the Kettner Black Spirit 200, the foot amp. You can see the top of it right here, and it really works. It's amazing, but what I really appreciate, first of all, it's very user-friendly. And as a Mac user, I very much appreciate that. Everything has to be simple. So, I mean, just the way you can go between the different amp sounds, and the fact that you have 4 separate effects accessibilities where you can have a gate, which is really important. I think that's a thing that a lot of amps are missing. I mean, you need a noise gate, definitely. And there's noise gate, modulation, reverb, and delay that you can use independently, and that really helps. So if you just fiddle around with this, you can really fastly find some basic sounds, and then you can sit around tweaking. I haven't really had time to go into super details, but I love it so far. And it really sounds valvy. It sounds like it's valves in there.
Have you used it on your current album?
No, I haven't used it on... there wasn't time. I got it too late. But I will use it on my coming solo album, which I hope to release during 2021. And for my project, the project I'm doing called Unplugged but Wired, it's just perfect because I mean the whole idea about this concept is to travel small. The only thing I need is the Black Spirit 200, and a 115 cabinet, speaker cabinet, using Kettner I got. Put it into the tour bus, 2 acoustic guitars, 2 electric guitars. I mean, I only need 1 of each, but you always need a backup. If a string goes, you're done. So that's all I have, and it's all in one pack. I don't bring any pedal boards. I don't bring anything. I just bring that,
and that's enough.
It's enough. It's more than enough.
Especially in times like these, how can you use an amp like the one right next to you to connect the guitarist to the online world?
Oh, I mean, it's got all the possibilities for that. I mean, it's so neat to bring with you and just connect it to your sound card, and there you go. And since it's got a lot of different cab emulations, you can find your way really easily through that. I think it's it's perfect for that purpose.
Well, it's Christmas time. It's all about wishes. If you had a wish, with who would you like to make a song or even a whole album? If you had any wish.
Well, there's a lot of them, but one thing that comes to mind is that I wrote a song together with Joe Tempest. It's on the Prisoners in Paradise album from 1991. It's called Homeland. And the thing is, the boss of Live Nation then, Thomas Johansson, who also used to be our manager for a while, he played it to Rod Stewart, this song. And Rod loved it, and he asked us through Thomas if he could do it on his then coming album. And I've been a fan of Todd since the 70s, man. I love that 70s rock vibe he's going on. So, and I always loved his voice. So I said, I can't see why not. But Tempest didn't agree. Maybe he wasn't such a fan of Rod Stewart as I was. So he said no, and we did it instead. But I heard rumors that he wants to do it again. And I just want to send a little message to Rod, and just call me. I'll play the guitar on the song if you want to. Or we can do a whole album while we're at it.
So that's a wish with Rod Stewart. Wow, great. What do you do on Christmas, by the way? Do you have plans for Christmas?
Yeah, I mean, we're having the family here. It's just going to be the kids who are, the youngest one is 19. They're grown up, so they're coming with their their partners, and we're just going to eat some Swedish Christmas food and hang out.
And do you have plans for next year, for the future?
Well, there's a lot of plans. I mean, first of all, I had a whole tour planned for the fall, and it seems like we're going to move it to next fall, the fall of 2021. And to be quite frank, I can't see how anybody can tour the spring of 2021 because it's too early. I think it's going to take some time for the vaccine to kick in if it works, fingers crossed, and before people can try to go back to the way things were before. I saw that the Danish festival Roskilde announced that they are running this year, this summer, and they're expecting more than 100,000 visitors. I think it's good that somebody goes out and tries and says, listen, we're gonna do this festival this summer. But to me, it's a bit optimistic. I think the summer is going to be really bad next year too. But the fall, who knows?
You're not optimistic about next year?
Well, not the summer. I think next fall. I think that's when we can expect things going a little bit back to normal. And the thing is, I think everybody should realize that things are not going to go back to the way they were before. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a different world on the other side. First of all, in the EU, a lot of people working with music technology, people are doing PA systems and like LDs, like designers and all those people that actually finance their economy by doing live gigs. A lot of them changed works because they can't rely on playing live with bands anymore since there's no business. So I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be a new generation of road crew, first of all, So it's a lot of problems waiting on the other side. But I'm still optimistic. I think we're going to get out of it.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. Final question. What advice would you give your fans for the future?
Well, I think for right now, try to not to gather in big crowds and, spend Christmas at home and be patient. I think it's going to be a different thing next year, and hopefully next summer, but then next fall we're gonna see a change, so we can go back to playing those festivals we love doing, you know.
Okay. Kee, thank you very much for your time. I wish you all the best. I wish you a good Christmas time, and thank you very, very much for this interview. And yeah, for you too, of course, I wish you all the best, and I hope you enjoyed this interview with Kee Marcello. I'm Pascal from Hughes and Kettner, and see you in the next video. Bye.